Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are right about at the end of this weekend's tournament, the 2025 Gauteng Invitational Water Polo Tournament. We are now in the men's section for the dirty gold medal, aka the bronze medal. The OJ Eagles are about to lock horns here with the Marties men. The OJ Eagles wearing the black caps and the Marties in the white. These two teams did meet in the pool stages where the OJ Eagles emerged victorious 11 goals to 9. They had a strong lead in that game, and the Marties men showed a lot of character to bring it back. And then in the end, the OJ Eagles squeezed it out and won by 2. On their way through to this stage of the tournament, the OJ Eagles have had victories over Marties, like we just said, 11 goals to 9. A win over the KZN Orcas, 10-4. A narrow loss to the Rondebosch Meerkats, who are playing for gold, 8 goals to 9. A win over the Marties Victorians in their quarterfinal, 16 goals to 3. A loss in the semi-final by 2 goals to the Sax Old Boys. If you didn't see that game, I'd recommend going to watch it. That was a humdinger of a clash. And now their final goal for the weekend, was a rematch of their opening game, the Marties men. If we shift over to the Marties side of things, we of course had the opening game against the OJ Eagles. And my filter has not applied here just yet. Give me 2 seconds. Marties. The Marties men lost to the OJ Eagles in the pool stages, as well as the Rondebosch Meerkats in the pool stages. The Meerkats, of course, as we said, are going to be playing for gold against the Sax Old Boys. Marties also won 13-5 against the KZN Orcas, 23-5 against Trident's Neptune in a crossover playoff. They also beat UCT 11 goals to 8 in the quarterfinal. And then they lost out to Rondebosch Meerkats 9 goals to 5, and now their final game of this tournament will be the same as their first, up against the OJ Eagles. We are underway here, and the first possession seems to have been won by Ethan Corndon-Baker. And here's onto the right-hand side of Mike Stewart. A big drop down to Nardis Badenhorst in the centre forward position. Here's Jean-Marc de Carvalho. Out to Mike Stewart. One big ball from him, 2, and he's fired. It's taken a deflection. Fortunately lands in the hands of Lonwabo and Fikile in the cage. And the Marties men escape the first defense with their clean sheet still intact. And now they have their first roll of the dice on attack here to the Marties men. That's a ball slipped quickly into centre forward there, looking for Richard Skills. No call comes from the ref. All hands, says Stan on the far side, and Janku Rademacher on hand to get that ball away from the dangerously set centre forward Skills. And here's Rourke Olver. That's a long ball into the centre. Badenhorst has won his first exclusion. Sebastian Riley-Nielsen sent to the naughty corner. So 6-on-5 power play here for the OJ Eagles. Here's Olver, Corndon-Baker. Olver again. Badenhorst slides the post. Olver gives it onto the hand there for Baker. Lofted pass out to Stewart. Stewart spotted Badenhorst, and Badenhorst is fired at the near side, and Fukini makes himself huge and denies that one, and the score remains 0 goals apiece here. And in comes Connor Vogt for Marties on the left-hand side. That ball almost snatched away there by Jean-Marc de Carvalho. And now Andy Buerta on the ball. He's called for a cover, has Buerta. They're going to play the 5-on-5 here. Beswick into centre, and Mike Stewart now excluded. The exclusion there earned by Jordan Harrod. Buerta, Skills, Beswick, Vogue, Buerta, Skills, over to Beswick. Ball here on the water to Buerta, and Buerta's fired at the cross cage, and Dos Santos in the cage denies. Luka Ryak starting on the bench here for the OJ Eagles. And now Mangoba Bungan enters the fray for the OJ Eagles in the number 10 cap. Ethan Corndon-Baker. He's got a 2-on-1 with Rourke Olver on the left-hand side. They're not closing, and Baker's fired into the top corner, and the OJ Eagles draw first blood. Ethan Baker, I believe, as it stands, is still the OJ Eagles' top goal scorer this tournament. And a great finish there from the young man into the cross cage top corner. And the OJ Eagles find themselves 1 goal to the good after 2.5 minutes of open play in the dirty gold match, the dirty gold medal match rather. Richard Skills wrestling up there against Jean-Marc de Carvalho. Very difficult work to try and beat De Carvalho in the centre-back position. Here's Beswick on the right-hand side. He spotted Buerta on the back post. That ball lands front water, and Mangoba Bungan left with no choice but to concede the major there. And a penalty now. The Marty's men have allocated Josh de Villiers here up to bat for the shot from the spot. One each. Beautiful finish it from de Villiers there. Going for the bottom right-hand corner. Comes off the top side of Dos Santos' arm and into the roof of the net. And Simon Purchase, the second centre forward for the OJ Eagles, gets us back underway. Rademacher. De Carvalho. And Rourke Olver has the ball stolen off of him from Josh de Villiers. Bit of a loose pass there from Jean-Marc De Carvalho, but well positioned was de Villiers. Easily able to snatch that away. And Buerta's looking to roll in. Janku Rademacher here in the centre forward position, and a cross drive coming down too from Buerta. Lofted ball to the back post for Buerta, but too much on that from de Villiers. Not able to connect the dots there, and Jean-Marc De Carvalho on hand to tidy up. And here comes Jean-Marc De Carvalho again on the right-hand side. They need to fix their shape here, the OJ Eagles. Rourke Olver in his favoured shooting position drops that into centre forward. Simon Purchase has earned the ordinary. Out here to Ethan Baker, the goal scorer. Rourke Olver, with 5 seconds left on the shot clock, earns the ordinary. He's going to let one fly here as Olver. He's done so and has found the inside of the woodwork. I believe he beat the goalkeeper there, but he wasn't able to beat the frame of the goal. Comes off the inside of the upright and makes contact with the lane rope, so that's out of bounds. And a flying substitution here for the Marty's men. Max Mossop in for Josh de Villiers. Beswick. Second centre on the right-hand side there, Harrod. Has won the exclusion this time on Janku Rademacher. Marty's men having won 3 exclusions already in this game. Or 3 majors rather, 2 exclusions and a penalty. And here's Beswick. Harrod. Harrod's let one fly and Simon Purchase gets in the way of that. No 2-metre called there. It's only a 2-metre if a goalkeeper makes contact or if a defender intentionally puts it out of bounds. A block is not deemed to be an intentional flick out of bounds. So if a defender gets a hand on a shot that comes through from an attacker and it goes out, it remains the defender's ball or a switch in possession. Simon Purchase lets one fly. And Connor Vogt gets a big hand. And he's got his work cut out for him as his opposite 5, Ethan Conan Baker, was in the centre forward position. And Vogt wise to the task and gets that ball safely into the hands of his goalkeeper, Lonwabo and Fakili. And here's Harrod. Sebastian Riley-Nielsen. Arkin Murray in now at centre forward. Ethan Conan Baker going to be working hard against the youngster. Andy Buerta lofted ball out to the right-hand side for Beswick. The 30 seconds has elapsed here. So turnover in possession rather. And the big man, Nardis Bardenos, back in the water now. Simon Purchase comes for a breather. Another flying change. Nick Poole in for Ethan Conan Baker. Looks like Ross van Breda also ready for a change on the next transition. Mangoba Bungan working hard here to try and earn the ordinary on the perimeter. Nick Poole. Back to Bungan. No hands shown there, but no foul earned. And the foul is now earned. 3 seconds left on the clock. Bungan's let one fly, but he's not able to beat the first defender there. Max Mossop gets in the way, but the second ball there lands in favour of Bungan. And he's earned the ordinary. Actually, he's earned the exclusion now. The perpetrator, Max Mossop. 2 hands on, says the referee on the far side. And now a power play for the OJ Eagles. Jean-Marc De Carvalho. Nardis Bardenos slides the post, catches and makes no mistake, firing into the bottom left-hand corner. The OJ Eagles regain the lead. The textbook man up. Marty's men resume play here. Sebastian Riley Nielsen tries to beat Badenhorst there in a pass into the center, but easily picked out of the air by the big man. Dos Santos returns the ball to Badenhorst here. He loves a perimeter shot. Kullbrick was working there against Mossop. And here's David Johnson, the number 7 cap for OJ, given some time and space here. Badenhorst slips that ball into Pool, but a clean steal coming from Riley Nielsen in the center forward position. Hard transition coming from the Marty's men. And Harrod is on the ball here on the left-hand side. Riley Nielsen almost makes a meal of that, but recovers possession nonetheless. And Arkin Murray's earned the exclusion here on Nardus Badenhorst. And then he's gone and won the penalty on Kullbrick. The call on the far side is holding around the neck there. Badenhorst has been excluded. He does still need to go to the naughty corner, even though there's a penalty. His rules are in place for a reason. And now the Marty's men, with 58 seconds left to the first, have a chance to draw level again. And they've done so. Harrod joins Josh de Villiers on the score sheet and bounces into the bottom left-hand corner. 2 goals apiece here in the dirty gold medal match. The 3rd and 4th playoff. These two teams going down to 2 of the tournament favorites, the Sachs Old Boys and the Rondebosch Meerkats, who will be playing in the gold medal match just after this. And here's David Johnson. Rademacher drives down on the left-hand side. Lofted pass there to Kullbrick. Possession fumbled, but still recovered. Kullbrick comes up high, gives it to Janku Rademacher. Quick catch and release from him into the bottom corner. The OJ Eagles snatch the lead back immediately. Riley Nielsen occupies centre-back position. And on the right-hand side is Ross van Breda. Warwick Field. And Nardus Badenhorst is excluded again. And that's a great ball onto the hand there of Sebastian Riley Nielsen. And a catch and release into the cross cage. And just as quickly as they went behind, the Marty's men back in it. Nardus Badenhorst there holding on the cross drive. Can't prevent a player from swimming, and he had 2 hands there, I believe, or even one on Riley Nielsen, and he is excluded. The Marty's men, with high action water polo here being implemented, winning exclusions left, right, and centre. Badenhorst finds himself on 2 exclusions early in this game. An off-the-ball exclusion there, Warwick Field, I believe, the perpetrator for the same thing, the same reason, preventing Mike Stewart from swimming. And Simon Purchase in at centre forward, but it's a 6-on-5 here, and Pool has put it into the bottom corner. Great shot from the young man. And Nicholas Pool has a goal in the 3rd and 4th playoff, putting that in the bottom left-hand corner rather. Great display of finishing from both sides here early in this game. Riley Nielsen gets us back underway. Perhaps lining up a buzzer beater here is Arkin Murray. He's let one fly, but Dos Santos gets 2 hands to it, and the first chukker comes to a close with the OJ Eagles leading the Marty's men 4-3. Stay tuned for the second chukker after this short break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Up. Our producer putting me under pressure to finish my ice cream early. But we're back. The dirty gold medal match here. The third and fourth playoff between the OJ Eagles and the Black Caps and the Marties men in the white. High octane water polo in that first chukker. Exclusions are plenty. The Marties men earning 6 majors in that first chukker. 2 penalties and 4 exclusions. And here's Mike Stewart on the ball. Jean-Marc de Carvalho. Ethan Corrington Baker has almost done it twice. The legs on that man, unbelievable. Comes up nice and high and fires at the cross cage, but it comes off the underside of the bar. And the Marties men escape with their 1-goal deficit still intact. And here's Connor Voke. Hard foul coming in from Stewart. The hand is raised by the referee, so he can let one fly. Ordinary foul there. Perhaps Janku Rademeyer a bit fortunate there. The whistle was called and he kept pursuing the ball. Wouldn't have been a surprise to see him be excluded there, but a little bit of leniency coming from the referees. Here's Voke, denied there by Stewart. Second possession for Marties here. Voke, perhaps another roll of the dice. Archida Mossop. They need to fix the shape here to the Marties men. Here's Voke again. Mossop tries to slip into center, but Mike Stewart wise to the task and snatches that ball. And a long ball now. Nardis Badenhorst one-on-one. He's on 6 meters. The hands raised. He can go for a foul and shot here. And Badenhorst has put it in the bins. He makes it look so easy, does the big man. And he's now got a brace. And that one came with a few extra style points too. And the OJ Eagles lead the Marties men 5-3 here. Early in the second chukker. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in throughout the weekend onto the It's Happening Africa YouTube channel and following along on the GWP app. Statistics, coverage and commentary, of course, has been brought to you by It's Happening Africa. The weather on the final day of this tournament finally allowing us to put the umbrellas away and not have to fight against the elements. Warming up a little bit, so some of the jackets have come off, and Janku Rademeyer's picked Burt's pocket, and he's dropped a gear, and he's flying down to the 2 meters here. A one-on-one here, Rademeyer against Mfikile, and he bounces beautifully into the top left-hand corner. And Janku Rademeyer gets his brace. 6-3 here. Electric start to the second chukker from the OJ Eagles. Following a similar pattern as their first clash. I believe the OJ Eagles were leading 8-2 at the end of the first half. And the Marties men were able to draw it all the way back to 9-8 before the final chukker where the OJ Eagles closed it out 11-9, I believe. And Mike Stewart's here going to be excluded. 2 hands on, says the ref on the near side. Preventing swimming of Andy Buerta. Very mobile are the Marties men on the perimeter, always working for the exclusion, so they've got another power play here. Not able to create anything from that one, and it goes out of bounds, and Dos Santos feeds that to Kullbrick on the right-hand side. Nardis Badenhorst, the big man, coming into 2. They're calling a quick drop coming from both sides. They need to drop down on the big man. It looks like they're going to press on the 2 on the left-hand side here, and Kullbrick on the right gives that ball out to De Carvalho. And it's going to go here for a shot from that angle. How's he squeezed that through? Jean-Marc De Carvalho, against all odds, bounces from the right-hand side. And Mfikile gets 2 hands, but it still finds its way into the back of the net. And 7-3 reads the scoreline now. Not unfamiliar territory for the Marties men. They've been here before this tournament against this opposition. Beswick working hard. Olver concedes the ordinary. And here's Buerta with an extra half a second. He earns the ordinary. And he plays that into centre forward. And Judo Dos Santos on hand to help out Connor Flynn. Riley Nielsen there working really hard in the centre forward position. But Dos Santos aware that Flynn needed the backup. And he speeds up to snatch that ball away. And here's Olver. Olver's fired at the cross cage, and Mfikile gets a big hand this time and puts it out for a corner. And Kulbrick gets that out to De Carvalho. Connor Flynn. Connor Flynn's gone for it, and Connor Flynn's on the score sheet too. Putting it into the bottom left-hand corner there is Connor Flynn. I believe he scored a double when they played the first game. Both into that bottom left-hand corner. Do speak under correction though. Could be confusing the OJ Eagles games here. The 4th edition of the Gauteng Annual Invitational Water Polo Tournament draws close to a close here as the final placement games take place. This is the second last game in the men's section. For 3rd and 4th place here, the Marties men and the OJ Eagles coming up just short in their semi-finals. And here's a ball to Harrod, who's turned his opposite eight, Connor Flynn, and he's been excluded. And now another power play for Marties. They are winning so many exclusions here. Buerta fumbles that ball from Nilsson. Harrod cleans it up and gives it out to Beswick, the left-hander. Riley Nilsson, Buerta, Harrod. Harrod's fired at the cross cage, come off the woodwork. De Villiers on hand to finish it off. The big man responds first and puts it in the back of the net for a brace. And the Marties men claw one back. Eight exclusions, or majors rather, earned by the Marties men early into this game. Nardes Badenhorst and Mike Stewart on two key members of the starting 7. So it'll be a massive win for the Marties men if they can get those two players out of the pool. In water polo, obviously only allowed 3 majors per game. That includes penalties and exclusions. Once you've gotten 3, you are done for the game. You may no longer participate. A red card or a brutality is an immediate 3 exclusions. And a red card often comes with a suspension. Mangoba Bungan opts to dump the ball into the corner there. Not seeing any options for his side on attack, so they're going to throw that ball into the corner and give his team time to come back and cover on defense. Arkin Moret did have front water, so that choice paying dividends. That's a quick ball here to Andy Buerta, who's turned Kulbrick, and he's won the penalty. Another major here earned by Andy Buerta, making an absolute nuisance of himself. And I believe that's Kulbrick's second too. And Harrod's found the inside of the cross, of the woodwork rather, and it's gone out of bounds. 3 minutes and 20 left of the second here. Harrod had the keeper beaten there, but not the woodwork. And now an exclusion off the ball there. Riley Nielsen, the perpetrator, and that's his second major of the game. Setting up in a 3-3 to start here, the OJ Eagles. Mangoba Bungan slides into the second post to make it a 4-2. And here's Kulbrick, and now Pool on the water to Olver. Olver's out to Kulbrick, and he's fired at it, and it's gone over the woodwork there. Not the OJ Eagles' best power play. But Andy Buerta's got front water on the left-hand side here again, and Volk has seen him. And Connor Flynn escapes danger there. And that ball's gone into the centre to Harrod. Possession is fumbled and cleaned up by Dos Santos. Purchase with a flying change here for Nardes Badenhorst back in the water. And Rourke Olver's given time and space on the left-hand side. It's not who you want to leave in this type of water. And that's why. That is gorgeous from Rourke Olver. Into the crossbar and down. Beautiful shot coming from him. And Olver's on the score sheet. And the scoreline now reads 9-4 in the second chucker. Play resuming a bit too early here. The OJ Eagles, one too many in the water. And Mangoba Bungan comes for a break. Ross van Breda. I believe there's 2 van Bredas playing at this tournament. I believe there's Amy van Breda too. So this be kind of correction. I can't remember everyone's names. I've seen van Breda on the team sheet somewhere. Here's Voke. Tries to slip that past Badenhorst, but another big blocking hand coming from Badenhorst on the perimeter. And the OJ Eagles are lengthening their stroke here. Mike Stewart and Janku Rademeier are firing up the right-hand side, and Badenhorst also has front water. Stewart's got the ball here, 2-on-1 on the left-hand side. And they're going to slow it down here and perhaps set it up. Jean-Marc de Carvalho spots the open water and occupies the right point position. Back out to Mike Stewart. De Carvalho fires, takes a block on the way through from Buerta, deflects into the face of Mfikili, and goes straight down safely into his hands. Ross van Breda. A contra there from Josh de Villiers. Holding on Nardus Badenhorst, there's the call. Mike Stewart now on the ball. Nardus Badenhorst more than happy to occupy centre forward position. And that's a quick ball into him, and he's got it, he's got the turn too. And I believe that's a penalty. The perpetrator, Ross van Breda, left with no choice but to take the major and give Lonwabo a chance from 5 meters on a timed release. And Mike Stewart puts his hand up here to take the spot shot. 1 minute and 4 seconds left of the second here. 6-goal deficit is a big swing to overturn here. Be massive for OJ. And the deficit remains at 5. A big save coming in from Lonwabo and Mfikili. Makes a great read on Mike Stewart and 2 hands across to his left and keeps that out of the back of the net. And here's de Villiers on the ball. Gives that back to Voke, and de Villiers has gone back to cover the roaching Badenhorst. Harrod dropped that into Marais, but Ethan Baker, aware of the danger of the young man Arkin Marais. First year out of school, I believe it is for him. And into the fray with the Marty's men. And here's David Johnson. No drop on Nardus Badenhorst, but what a steal coming in from Josh de Villiers. Stays nice and high on his legs and uses his long arms to pinch that ball out of the air and keep it away from the danger man, Nardus Badenhorst. Beswick to Voke. Harrod. Here's Buerta. And Buerta's fired for the centre. Dos Santos makes himself big and gets his hands in the way. And Nardus Badenhorst has scored a back shot from 6 meters. And Mfikili goes 2 hands to his right-hand side. But Badenhorst puts it to the bottom right of his angle. So that's Mfikili's left. And the OJ Eagles now lead 10-4 here. 2 seconds left of this shaka. So perhaps a buzzer beater coming. Beswick going to put his hand up for it, but wide of the frame. And the first half comes to a close. 10-4 here in favor of the OJ Eagles up against the Marty's men while they slug it out for the bronze medal. Stay tuned for the second half after this short break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the second half of the Dirty Gold Medal match. The third and fourth playoff here between the OJ Eagles and the Black Caps and the Marties men in the white. This is the replay of the first game these two sides played at this tournament, where the OJ Eagles, I believe, were ahead 8-2 going into the second half. There was a 6-goal deficit, and the Marties men clawed it back, and we're in very familiar territory here for the Marties men and the OJ Eagles. Both teams not going to want to, well, more so the OJ men, not going to want to replicate their mistakes and letting the Marties men claw back such a big deficit. And the Marties men are well aware of what they need to do to get themselves back into this game. And here's the ball to Mangoba Bungan, lofted ball over to Purchase. He's got front water, and that's delicate, and that's beautiful. Purchase made it look like he had an extra hour there. Cool as a cucumber. And he loves the goalkeeper beautifully, and the OJ Eagles start the third easily with a nice finish from centre forward position. Here's Beswick, pressured by Corendon Baker. Off the ball exclusion here, Richard Skeels gets the better of Jean-Marc de Carvalho, and a rapid response coming from the Marties men, and they find themselves on the score sheets in the third shaka. 11-5, I believe, reads the score line. Rademacher earns the ordinary. Jean-Marc de Carvalho returns and is pressured here by Skeels. Mangoba Bungan against his opposite 10, Josh de Villiers. Ordinary foul there, 8 seconds. Mangoba slipped into the centre for Purchase. The ball slips out of his hand. And the retreating Jordan Harrod on hand to put that ball underwater and recover possession for the Marties men. And here's de Villiers. And Baker, Ethan Corendon Baker has picked Beswick's pocket and stolen that ball on the perimeter, using his long arms and his strong legs to his benefit. Here's Mangoba Bungan. Happy to draw out de Villiers here. Purchase is sitting well. That ball's gone into him, but it's too far. Skims off the water like it stood on a banana peel there. Flies out of possession for the OJ Eagles. And the Marties men come back with possession. Well, here's Warwick Field. And off the ball exclusion. And Janku Rademacher is on 2 exclusions now. And another power play for Marties. And here's Beswick. Harrod fires into the center of the cage and beats Dos Santos. 11-6. The 6-goal deficit becomes 5. And big cavalry changes on both ends. Here's Connor Flynn. Out to Nick Poole. Mike Stewart. Poole with the short side drive. They need to balance the shape here. A lot of congestion in the centre for the OJ Eagles. Lofted ball to Culbrick. Earns the ordinary. Rourke Olver slipping into a shooting lane here. Not who you want to leave in the space, but good pressure coming from Arkin Murray. And Culbrick dumps the ball into the corner. And Josh Carr in the cage now for the Marties men. And here's Warwick Field. The ball into centre here. And here's Riley Nielsen. And he's denied. Connor Flynn almost rocked into next week. Makes a strong recovery and gets a big blocking arm in the way. And now here's Nick Poole. And Mike Stewart happy to occupy the water left open to him. And here's Rourke Olver with the elastic shoulder. Out to Mike Stewart. Onto the left-hand side here. There's a big shot coming from Kalbrick, but a massive blocking arm gets in the way there from Mossop, I believe. And that ball goes out of bounds, and Carr looks to restart the Marty's possession. Riley Nielsen out to Mossop. And here's Ross van Breda. Lots of wide water in the centre forward position here. Arkin Moret up against Rourke Olver. And Riley Nielsen now. Off the ball exclusion there. There's just no mark in Arkin Moret. And that ball lands in the danger man's hands, and he puts it into the back of the net. And Rourke Olver gets his first exclusion of the game. 4 players for the OJ Eagles on 2 majors. Mike Stewart, Nadas Badenhorst, Janku Radame, and Alexander Kalbrick. Rourke Olver, Connor Flynn, and Mangoba Bungan all find themselves on 1. 11 goals to 7 here. The Marty's men slowly chipping away at the deficit and bringing themselves back into this game. Here's Mike Stewart. M-zone defense coming in from the Marty's men. Connor Flynn lets one fly. Skims beautifully off the water into the underside of the bar, and the back of the neck bulges as the OJ Eagles regain their 5-goal deficit. A little recap on our score sheet here. For the side of the OJ Eagles, we've got a solitary goal from Rourke Olver, a hat-trick already from Nadas Badenhorst, solitary as well for Ethan Cornyn-Baker. Connor Flynn's on 2, and that's a great ball into Arkin Moret, and he's won a penalty. The perpetrator now, Connor Flynn, gets himself his second major. There is just no marking Arkin. You can't mark the arc. And Andy Buerta beautifully finished into the top left-hand corner. Marty's men back within 4. 12 goals to 8 reads the scoreline. 4 minutes left of the third as these two teams stand toe-to-toe and slug it out for the bronze medal at the 4th edition of the Gauteng Annual Invitational Water Polo Tournament, hosted here at St. David's, Maristananda. We were busy running through our score sheet there. We have a brace for Connor Flynn, a singular goal for Nicholas Poole, a brace for Janku Radame, and a goal for Simon Purchase too. And on the score sheet for the Marty's men, solitary goal for Richard Skills, 1 for Andy Buerta, 2 for Harrod, 2 for De Villiers, and 1 for Riley Nielsen, as well as 1 for Arkin Moret. And here's Ethan Cornyn-Baker on his legs, fires at the cross cage, but Josh Carr denies him and puts that out for a corner. Five players now for the OJ Eagles on 2 majors, and Mike Stewart slips into the shooting lane here, and here's Jean-Marc de Carvalho. Mangoba Bungan with a catch and release. Josh Carr up to the task, 2 hands across, and keeps that ball out of the back of the net. And now Riley Nielsen fires up the right-hand side of the pool. Nadas Badenhorst happy to come back and cover. A lot of traffic in the centre here for the Marty's men. That ball slipped into centre, but tons of traffic in the middle there. And Mangoba Bungan there able to assist Mike Stewart and get that ball away from the danger man, Richard Skills, in the centre forward position. And now Ethan Cornyn-Baker fetches on the left-hand side. He's given some time and space here. And now Mike Stewart. Out to Jean-Marc de Carvalho. Mike Stewart, Ethan Cornyn-Baker with 5 seconds left. Has a go, and it comes off the woodwork. Almost finds itself on the hand of Mangoba Bungan. And now the OJ Eagles regenerate with a clearance drive coming through from Mike Stewart, but the drop is still strong. It's going to have to be a bit more space created in the centre there for the OJ Eagles if they want to feed Nadas Badenhorst in centre forward. And here's Max Mossop now on the right-hand side. Riley Nielsen. That's a ball slipped sneakily into centre forward there. Perhaps fortunately Mangoba Bungan comes away with the ball. Lots of white caps down on the big number 4 for the OJ Eagles. Looks like they're setting up in the M zone here, the Marty's men. So you have 3 attackers on the perimeter and 2 defenders between. And Janku Rademaer's had a shot from the perimeter, but a big blocking hand gets in the way there. One of the perks of the M zone defense. The center back and a blocker down in the middle of the cage. But here's Max Mossop. Mossop's bounced to the near side. It's come off the inside of the post. It's skimmed across face of goal there, and Ethan Baker on hand to clean up. And now Mike Stewart's got front water, and that's a beautiful pass to him. And Mike Stewart here should either earn the exclusion, the penalty, or put it in the back of the net. And it's option 3 for the number 3. And he finds himself on the score sheet, posted in there from the St. Stithians head coach, Michael Stewart. And the 5-goal deficit has been restored for the OJ Eagles.
I'll announce it now.
1 minute and 13 seconds left of the third chucker here. The coach's chucker, the momentum chucker, the champion's chucker. The Marty's men find themselves 5 goals down against the OJ Eagles. 13-8 reads the scoreline. And Andy Buerta's dropped that into centre forward. And Connor Flynn has provided his last contribution to the OJ Eagles of this year's edition of the Invitational Tournament. That's his third. And here's Andy Buerta out to Harrod. Out to Beswick. He's let one fly from a tight angle. It's come off the woodwork, somehow stayed in bounds. And Richard Skills regathers possession. And here's Buerta. Big balk from Buerta. Out here to Van Breda. Gives that into Josh de Villiers, and he wins an ordinary foul. Andy Buerta has fired that at the cross cage. Dos Santos gets a hand, and it finds the frame of the cage and goes out of bounds for a corner. 25 seconds left of the third chucker here. And Richard Skills occupies centre forward position, his favourite position. Van Breda out to Buerta. A lot of traffic in the middle here for the Marty's men. That ball's gone to second centre. And Harrod's earned the exclusion. Johnson to the naughty corner, and that's quick thinking. They've caught the OJ Eagles napping there. A low pass from Harrod onto the hand of Skills. And Skills skillfully puts that into the back of the net for his second of the game. 13-9 here, reads the scoreline. 11 left of the third. And Nardus Paternoster looking to line up a foul and shot here. De Villiers concedes the ordinary. And Paternoster has replicated his magic and got his 4th goal. With a rinse and repeat of the foul and shots on the 7, bouncing into the cross cage top corner. And just as the Marty's men drew that deficit back to 4, the OJ Eagles stretched it back to 5. And a shot from range here, Van Breda. Nice height, nice line. But too much time for Judah Dos Santos in the cage there to prevent that going in. And that's all she wrote for the third chucker, ladies and gentlemen. The OJ Eagles leading 14 goals to 9 here against the Marty's men in the maroon. We'll see you guys again for the concluding 4th chucker after this short break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The fourth chapter, the fourth chukka of the third and fourth playoff here. The game for the dirty gold medal, the bronze medal up for grabs. The OJ Eagles currently with a strong foothold in this game, leading 14 goals to 9 here. The OJ Eagles and the Black Caps up against the Marty's men in white. High octane water polo we've seen so far. Exclusions are plenty. The Marty's men playing high action water polo. Connor Flynn has received his final marching orders of the game, so he can no longer take part after receiving his third major in the dying moments of that third chukka. 4 other players for the OJ Eagles on 2 majors: Mike Stewart, Janku Rademeier, Alex Kulbrick, and Nardis Badenhorst on 2. So they're going to have to be careful if they want to see the final whistle. It's a loose pass into center there for purchase. Skeels gets fingertips and pushes it out, and Harrod's on hand to tidy up. Nardis Badenhorst, the number 4, finds himself on as many goals as his cap number reads. Beautiful finishing from the big man. One of the national centre forwards makes his presence felt in every game he plays. And here's Harrod onto the hand of Beswick. Into De Villiers. Kulbrick well set there and gets a hand in the way of that pass. Beswick pressurizes early, and Olver able to snatch that away. And here's Rourke Olver, St. John's alumni. Here's Kulbrick. Full pull press coming in now from the Marty's men. No drop needed if Nardis Badenhorst not in the water, is their call. And Rourke Olver gets the foul. And Rourke Olver's had a shot, and Tane Beswick's come up with the goods to prevent that finding its way through to the goalkeeper, the shot stopper Josh Carr. And now Harrod. The youngster Arkan Murray up against the veteran Jean-Marc de Carvalho in the centre forward position. But working into second centre is Andy Buerta. He's cleared off Pool but fumbled that ball away in the process. Harrod, Buerta, another roll of the dice here. He's cleared it off, got the half turn, almost the full, and he's won the penalty. Nicholas Pool gets his first major of the game. A little miscommunication there from the Marty's men. They thought it was an exclusion, so they couldn't resume play there. It's a penalty. And Josh De Villiers up to bat. De Villiers fires on the near side, it goes through. Luka Ryak finds its way into the back of the net. Here's Jean-Marc de Carvalho. Rourke Olver. Arkan Murray retreats. No call given for Rourke Olver there. And Arkan Murray is able to pick his pocket and steal that ball. And the Marty's men have 6 minutes to claw back 4. And Arkan Murray moves into centre forward here. Tane Beswick has turned Mangoba Mungan. And Mungan is excluded now. And that's his second major of the game. Beswick to Buerta. Out to De Villiers. Beswick. Skills. De Villiers. Lofted ball there. That's gorgeous! Andy Buerta comes up nice and high, shows us his Cosy, receives that ball in the air and puts it in the back of the net. 14-10. Timeout called here by the OJ Eagles. 3-goal deficit. Game is still alive. The OJ Eagles need a goal here. It would be a luxury. Not going to change the result, but definitely gives them a bit more breathing room. Jean-Marc de Cavalier plays himself. M-zone defense coming in from the Marties men. Drive coming down on the short side from Olver. Out here to Janku Rademeier. Baker's in the shooting lane. He's received it, drawn the defenders in, and here's Jean-Marc de Cavalier. Out to Janku Rademeier, who's put it in the goal. A shot from the right-hand side for the right-hander. Low percentage shot there. Still finds its way into the back of the net from Janku Rademeier. A 4-goal deficit restored for the OJ Eagles. 15-11 reads the scoreline with 5 minutes and 10 left on the clock. And here's Beswick. Andy Butzer working hard here. Mike Stewart shown a hand. Earns the ordinary. Does Andy Butzer. Lofted ball out to the right-hand side here. A bit too much on that for Max Mossop. And Mossop throws that ball away. Tries to give his team some time to cover, but Rourke Olver is still open on the left-hand side. And beautiful work from Ross van Breda. Pivotal moment for the Marties men to get that ball away. It was a 3-on-2 situation, and now Beswick fetches on the right-hand side. He's pressured by Corndon Baker. Andy Butzer earns the ordinary. Harrod is working hard on that left-hand side. A contra here. Janku Rademeier. Storms up the right-hand side of the pool. And Mike Stewart, they're in a man-up situation here, the Marties men. The OJ Eagles rather. Janku Rademeier. Slowing it down here are the OJ Eagles, using their time. Man up on defense here, the Marties men. Here's Rourke Olver. Gets the foul. Olver's going to have a go here. And he's fired at the cross cage, and Carr's got a hand, but it's gone out of bounds for a corner. Or a 2-meter rather. The OJ Eagles get us back underway. Here's Simon Purchase. Out to Janku Rademeier. Mike Stewart. Short drive coming from Rademeier. And now Purchase. Back out to Stewart. Stewart's gone for the cross cage, and Carr gets in the way again. Another corner here for the OJ Eagles. Exactly what they want, keeping the Marties men pinned on their side of the pool. And here's Ethan Corndon Baker. Simon Purchase to Mike Stewart. Rademeier wanted that first time on the hand. But here's Purchase. Out to Stewart. Too much height on that. And Stewart happy to leave that in the corner. Timeout called by the coach of the Marties men. Find themselves 4 goals down with 3 minutes remaining. They need a goal here. We've seen the Marties men apply the new rules. You don't need a goalkeeper in the water anymore, as per the latest updates on the water polo rules. So 7 men in the water here. They'll probably set up with 4 down on 2 meters, so 2 postmen and 3 on the perimeter. They're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this. And let's see if the Marties men can make something happen here with their forced power play. They have gone for the 4-3 here. And here's Warwick Field, Riley Nielsen. Field. Riley Nielsen. He's given a lot of time and space here, and he's put it in the back of the net as Riley Nielsen. Car back in the water. The strategy has paid dividends for Marties throughout the weekend, for both their first and their second side. You go 7-on-6 on your attack. No goalkeeper. You convert the extra, and you throw your keeper back in and defend with the player with a red cap back in the water. Vaughan Marlow happy to exploit the new rules here. Janku Rademeier goes down to 2. Aiden Quinn in the 15 in the water now too. And here is Ethan Corndon Baker. Big balk from him, trying to feed up to Nadas Badenhorst there. And Baker's fired at the cross cage again. It's found the outside of the woodwork. No opportunity here for the 7-on-6, but Nadas Badenhorst is roached. So they're going to go for the 6-on-5 here. The coach is calling for them to play it. Calling for them to slow it down and set up the man up. They've still got 18 seconds left. And Riley Nielsen's put it wide of the cage, and now a long pass is going to come straight up here to Nadas Badenhorst. The last person you want in a one-on-one situation. And that's why Nadas Badenhorst gets his 5th goal of the game. And that may be all she wrote, folks. Bar a period of magic here. The OJ Eagles will have their hands on the bronze medal. Josh Carr's out. And they're going 7-on-6 again. Here's Van Breda to Max Mossop. Riley Nielsen. Mossop. Van Breda has fired that well over the crossbar. And now Luca Ryak might find himself on the score sheets. Surely he has a go here. He's gone for it. And there's a contra there. It's a turnover. Luca Ryak not playing himself before he threw that ball. Not a contra you see very often. The keeper not normally having to do that. And here's Warwick Field. Warwick Field's put it in the back of the net. Marty's men back within 3. Mathematically, 3 30-second left. 3 30-second attacks left. So it is possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. One player needs to come out here. You can't have 7 outfield and a goalkeeper in the water. Vaughan Marlow saying, if we make a save here, Carr's going to make a flying change here with Max Moss up on the right side. And here's Kullbrick. The OJ Eagles should look to use as much time as possible. And Kullbrick here earns the ordinary. 15 seconds left of the attack here for the OJ Eagles. And that's a loose ball and snatched away by Van Breda. Van Breda. And that's an exclusion on Kullbrick. Here's Van Breda. 1 minute left. Field. Van Breda. Mossop. Riley Nielsen wanted that on the post. And Van Breda has found the woodwork. And now Ryak hasn't got enough on it there. The first one was perfect. Skills snatching that one. And now out here to Field. Field slips into centre. No call from the refs. And Janku Rademeier comes over the ball. A little bit of disbelief on the face of Josh de Villiers. And now it's going to be strictly academic. The OJ Eagles going to run the clock down here, and David Johnson carries up the right-hand side. He's given time and space here on the low angle. He's fired at the woodwork. It's come off the post and found its way to Mangoba Bungan, but he's caught inside 2 meters. And Skeel's going to let one fly from range here. And the clock has run. And Luca Ryak's on the score sheet to close off his tournament in style. And that's all she wrote. The OJ Eagles placed themselves as the third best team at the 2025 Gauteng Invitational Water Polo Tournament. Thank you so much for joining us here on It's Happening Africa. Stay tuned for the ladies' gold medal match coming up next. It's going to be an absolute barn burner. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again after this short break. Take care.